I never thought my life would unravel in the dusty back room of a small-town church in Willow Creek, Colorado. Out here in the American West, where the Rockies loom like silent judges and the wide-open skies promise freedom, family ties run deeper than the minds that once built this place. But promises, I've learned, can be as fragile as fool's gold. My name is Emily Hayes, and at 38, I've always been the steady one in our family, the one who showed up on time, balanced the books, and kept the peace while everyone else chased the horizon. I work as a compliance officer for Rocky Peak Consulting in our little mountain town, a job that fits someone who's spent a lifetime spotting cracks in the foundation before they swallow everything whole. Our family, the Hayes, are something of a local legend in Willow Creek.
Dad,
Robert Hayes, is a deacon at St. Luke's Episcopal Church and runs the board for the Horizon Hearts Foundation, a charity that's supposedly helped folks rebuild after wildfires and floods for the past 50 years. Mom, Susan, organizes the galas and bake sales, her smile as polished as her turquoise jewelry. And then there's my younger sister, Riley, golden-haired,
quick-witted,
the real estate whiz who signs every sagebrush-lined street. She's the one everyone adores, the one with the effortless charm that turns heads at rodeos and town hall meetings.
Me,
I'm the serious sister in the background, the one who counts the donations while Riley basks in the applause. Growing up, I learned early that being the responsible one meant swallowing a lot of pride. "You're too straight-laced for your own good," Mom would say with that mix of affection and exasperation, especially after I'd point out how the foundation's numbers didn't quite add up at last year's Christmas dinner. Riley would just flash her dimpled grin and steer the conversation to her latest big sale, a ranch property that somehow always closed right after a foundation grant came through. Our unspoken family rule: don't stir the pot. We've smoothed over bad investments that vanished like morning mist, explained away fender benders with tall tales, and grinned through whispers that never quite turned into scandals. When Riley got busted for joyriding at 16, it was just kids being kids. Her second divorce at 28, we acted like the guy never existed.
I,
on the other hand, bootstrapped my way through community college, built my career without daddy's connections, and rented a modest cabin on the outskirts while Riley lived rent-free in the guest house on our parents' sprawling property. I figured keeping my distance would shield me from the chaos. But out here, where the wind carries secrets across the plains, distance is an illusion. The call came on a crisp Tuesday afternoon while I was auditing reports at work. Mom's voice, warm as fresh coffee, but laced with that commanding edge. "Emily, honey, we need you for the Foundation's 50th anniversary bash. Isn't that something?" I stared at my screen, the cursor blinking like a warning. "Sounds great,
Mom."
but I'm swamped here. Riley's handling most of it. She's got that eye for details, but she needs help with some paperwork for the venue. You know how these church events go. All those forms. St. Luke's, our family anchor, where we'd all been christened, wed, and grieved. Dad managed the finances. Mom chaired the outreach. And Riley somehow always ended up center stage while I tallied the offering plates in the shadows. I'm buried in deadlines. I tried. But Mom's psyche cut through like a winter gale. "It's family,
Eminência.
surely you can spare an evening." Family, that word always felt like a lasso tightening around my neck. So 3 days later, I pulled into the church lot at dusk, the sun dipping behind the peaks, casting long shadows over the gravel. Riley's sleek Ford pickup rolled up beside my old Jeep, and she hopped out in designer boots and a flannel shirt that screamed, "City girl gone country."
Ain't.
"You're a godsend," she said, air kissing my cheek with a whiff of her fancy lavender lotion. She looked put together, but there was a tightness in her eyes, like a horse sensing a storm. Just grab some files from the back storage. Will ya? Financials. Insurance stuff, the boring bits your ace at. She handed me a keyring and a worn leather satchel. Why not get 'em yourself? I asked. Her smile flickered. Numbers give me hives.
Sis. Plus.
I've got a meetin' with the caterer in half an hour. I should have turned tail, right then, handed back the keys, and driven off into the twilight. Instead, I headed for the side door, keys jingling like spurs. Behind me, Riley called out, casual as could be, if you spot anything off,
Just leave it be.
no need to poke around. The church halls were quiet, the kind of hush that amplifies every creak. I'd wandered these corridors 1,000 times, Sunday services, potlucks, family gatherings where I'd blend into the woodwork while Riley worked the room.
Tonight.
The fluorescent buzz felt charged, like static before thunder. The storage room, B12, was down the admin wing, past the pastor's study and the boardroom where Mom held her meetings. My boots echoed on the linoleum, each step heavier than the last. Something felt wrong. Riley's jittery vibe. Her dodged glances. Lately, she'd been calling more. Twice a week, even. Which was odd for someone who only reached out when she needed a favor. Last coffee meetup. She'd even apologized for that mess with the Landry deal 5 years back. She'd pinned the blame on me for losing a big client, saying I'd trash-talked the family biz. It was a lie, but lies were Riley's second language. I was dumb back then, she'd said, squeezing my hand across the table. I'm trying to turn over a new leaf. We're blood.
Eminência.
Let's act like it. I wanted to buy it.
Damn it.
After all these years, I still craved that sisterly bond from our kid days, before favoritism turned it sour. The storage door stuck a bit, groaning open to reveal rows of filing cabinets labeled by year and type, donations, grants, minutes. I found the one Riley mentioned, left side, third drawer. It was ajar. Papers askew. And tucked in back was a small safe, cracked open like an invitation to trouble. My pulse quickened as I pulled it forward. This wasn't about venue forms. The first folder held bank statements from obscure outfits in Nevada and Delaware, states known for loose regs. Amounts that made my head spin, 6 figures sloshing in and out, always circling back to Horizon Hearts accounts. The second had grant contracts, federal aid for wildfire relief, youth programs, community builds, millions earmarked for projects I'd never seen break ground. Signatures I knew too well. Mom's elegant loops. Dad's sharp print. Riley's flourish as the new treasurer. But the third folder? That one had my name all over it. Shell companies incorporated under my social. Bank accounts tied to my SSN. Loan apps with my scrawled signature, forged. No doubt. And at the bottom, a draft email to the FBI. On my work letterhead, confessing to embezzlement. Dated next week. I slumped into a rickety chair, papers trembling in my grip. This wasn't just fraud, it was a setup to bury me. My job, my life, all to shield their house of cards. My phone vibrated, snapping me from the haze. A text from Riley. Almost done? Caterer's dragon. Might swing by. Was it a nudge or a noose? I glanced at the evidence sprawled before me, years of deceit masked as goodwill. Another buzz. If you're reading this, back off.
Come out.
Talk. Through the door's frosted glass. A shadow flitted by. Instinct kicked in. I whipped out my phone, snapping pics of every page. Every incriminating stroke. The flash popped like gunfire in the dim room. Footsteps echoed closer. More than one set. I crammed the papers back, but pocketed the draft email, my forged confession, like a talisman. The handle rattled. Emily?
Darlin'.
You in there?
Mom's voice.
Smooth as honey but edged with steel. I had a heartbeat to choose. Play dumb or draw the line. The door swung open before I could. Mom stood there, her silver concho belt catching the light. Riley lurking behind like a storm cloud. Mom's turquoise earrings dangled like accusations, the same ones she wore to every fundraiser. Every sermon. Playing the devout Western matriarch. There you are, she said, eyes scanning the open safe. Riley said you were helpin' with the papers. I rose slowly, satchel limp in my hand. Just gatherin' what she asked. Mom's gaze hardened, that telltale jaw clench from our childhood scoldings. Find everything okay? More than okay, I replied, voice steady despite the quake inside. Riley shoved past, her earlier poise fracturing. You always gotta dig, don't ya? She reached for the bag, but I pulled back. That's what we're callin' uncovering a money launderin' racket through our family charity. Mom's whisper cut like a knife. You don't get it, Emily.
Oh.
I get it crystal clear. I held up my phone, thumbnails of the docs glaring back. Offshore hides, ghost grants, and the cherry on top, a fake confession in my name to hang me out to dry. Riley blanched. You're wreckin' it all. Reckon what? The scam? Stealin' from real folks in need? Usin' the church like your personal piggy bank. We're safeguardin' the family, Mom interjected, shutting the door with a click. Something you've never grasped, with your high-end mighty rules. Safeguardin' by framin' me? By keepin' things runnin', she said, adjusting her belt like we were discus sin supper. The foundations touch lives, real lives. Not just ledgers. But that takes bendin' a bit. Bendin'? That's embezzlement in any court. Riley gripped my arm. Hear me out. There are big players in this, folks who'll crush anyone messin' with their setup. That letter? It's backup. Not a frame job. Backup against what? Against them, Mom murmured, suddenly looking frail under the harsh light. Contractors, suppliers, county bigwigs talking their slice. Your dad and I got tangled years ago. One handshake led to another. And next thing, we're in over our heads. So you throw me under the bus. We were shielding you by keeping you clear, Riley snapped. But no, you couldn't trust us. Trust? When you've pinned every family flop on me, lied about me to clients while building your empire on hot air? At least I built something. Riley's mask shattered. What VE you got besides judgin' from your pedestal? Your honest gig? Think that makes you superior? It makes me not a felon. Mom stepped between us. Enough.
2 paths.
Emily, stash those pics. Help file this right. And stay the daughter who minds her own, or blow it up and watch the flames take us all. The foundation, the church aid, the families we help. And yeah, you too. That letter ain't our only ace. You're threatening me. I'm laying out facts. She fiddled with her earrings. The smart plays plain. Smart. Always my cross to bear. I thought of that forged email burning a hole in my pocket, of Pastor Jenkins who'd married my folks. Learnin' his church was a front. Of wildfire victims who got zilch while my family upgraded their ranch. You know what? I edged to the door. I'm done carrying your baggage. Riley lunged. You can't bail with those shots. Watch me. Please. Real fear etched Riley's face. You don't grasp what they'll unleash. On all of us. No clean exits here. I paused, eyeing them, partners in grime, chained by rot that had eaten our roots. Then we'll all get muddy. If you spill, you're going down too, Mom warned. Your name's everywhere. Forged, I shot back. And I've got proof. Sloppy work. Sis, your laptop logs every edit. The one I set up for you last year. Password unchanged. Silence hit like a rock slide. Mom's voice cracked. What do you want? After all this? She thought it was horse trading.
Truth, I said.
But since that's foreign to Hayes, justice'll do. I strode out, leaving them with their poison pile. Riley's last call echoed. You don't know the fire you're lighting, but I did. And for the first time, I wasn't backing down. That night, my cabin felt like a cage. Laptop aglow on the pine table. Those photos staring back, greed dolled up as grace. Somewhere in the data was the noose they'd looped for me. First email pinged at 11:30. Think again. Dad. Ignored it. Instead.
I dove in.
Spreadsheet in, transfers against public records from my job access. Pattern emerged. Slick but slipshod. Riley's hallmark. Wires timed to foundation shindigs. Grants drop in before family splurges. A new truck here. Land grab there. Phone kept buzzin'. Desperate pleas from kin. I tuned, am out till Riley's. Last shot. Mom's bureau buddy can hush this. Don't be dumb. Showed it to my old college pal.
Jake.
A tech whiz in Denver. I called for backup. They're squirmin', he said over video. By midnight, he remote accessed my setup. Runnin' forensics. Look, transfers hit 48 hours post-board meets. But docs were backdated. Classic cover-up. And the FBI draft. Sent from an IP near Riley's office during her weekly huddle. She didn't even mask it. Why bother? Golden Girls untouchable in Willow Creek. By dawn, we had a fortress. Financial breakdowns of diverted millions. Proof of forgeries. Timelines nailin' who.
What? When?
And bigger. Links to fraud in 3 other Western foundations. All tied to the same shady network. Contractors. Officials from Colorado to Utah. This ain't just family dirt, Jake said. Mappin' the web. It's a regional racket. Which is why they're frantic to pin me. My phone lit with Mom's text. You've no clue what you've unleashed. I replied once. I do. Truth. I hit send on an email to Elena Ramirez, a reporter at the Rocky Mountain Gazette. Attachin teasers, enough to hook without spillin' the pot. Use my secure line, Jake urged. They're probably tracking. Minutes later, my phone rang. Emily Hayes?
Elena Ramirez.
Your tip's explosive. Meet.
Today. Urgent.
Brewery downtown. Hour. I grabbed Jake. And we headed out. The mountain air crisp with promise. Or peril. The story detonated Thursday morning. Local charity empire rocked by fraud allegations. From a motel Jake cash booked for safety. I watched Elena's piece rip through Willow Creek like a prairie fire. Front page gold. Connections I hadn't spotted. Construction bids for phantom rebuilds. Flood aid siphoned overnight. Scholarships vaporware while funds fled to Nevada shells. At the heart, Riley Hayes. Signin' off on every dirty dime. By lunch, FBI agents swarmed the Foundation HQ. Freezing assets. Haulin' boxes. News vans from Denver and Salt Lake rolled in. Interviewing stunned donors. They rebuilt my barn after the blaze. One rancher choked out. Was it all smoke? My phone erupted, ignored save Elena's. Family's Callan oppressor at 3. Claimin' you're the snake. Fabricatin' proof.
Letching spin.
You got the forensics? They'll need debunkin'. On it. I streamed the circus. Family at the foundation steps. Mom in her signature shawl. Dad stone-faced. Riley the picture of wounded innocence. We've served these valleys for decades, Mom quavered. But betrayal from kin cuts deepest. They painted me as the bitter outcast. Paranoid. Unstable for gin docs to torch what I envied. We offered help, Riley added. Eyes mizzed in artfully. Even after catching her in our systems, we kept it quiet. But Emily chose chaos. Reporters nodded sympathetically till Elena rose. MS.
Hayes.
Why's a 2024 logo on 2019 docs? Riley faltered. Must be doctored. By your sister, who per logs had no access. Or you, whose rig stamped M last week. Murmurs swelled. And that $4 million wildfire grant to Utah counts under your ID? This is slander, Dad bellowed. Is it true Sheriff Harlan warned of consequences for whistleblowers? We have tapes. Tapes? Elena had dug deeper. The presser crumbled. Family fleeing amid shouts. My burner buzzed. Family at office. Want real talk?
Feds here too.
Bigger than you think. Cousin Travis. Trap? Elena warned. Travis is knee-deep. Fudged county ledgers. But if FBI's legit, take Jake. Record it. We arrived to chaos. Agents catalogen. Offices taped. Family in the boardroom. Looking wrung out like drought-struck cattle. Riley flinched at my entrance. Emily, Agent Lisa Torres rose. Thanks for coming. Your evidence to the press? Solid. But we need the full picture on this web. Don't speak, Dad growled. But his bark was broken. Torres eyed him. Cooperation or cuffs? Mr. Hayes. Mom deflated. What you need? Start with Sheriff Harlan's cut. And the dam broke, not with fireworks, but weary confessions. Names tumbled, officials, builders.
Aüta senatore said.
I watched our family legend dissolve, feeling an unexpected twinge compassion. They looked diminished, husks of their former selves. Emily flagged the discrepancies years back. Riley admitted softly. We should have heeded. Too late. But it cracked the ice in my chest. As twilight painted the peaks purple, I grasped the deeper truth. Choices carve us. They'd picked greed. I'd picked honesty. But in the wreckage, maybe seeds of redemption. 2 weeks on, I stood in St. Luke's lot, the church steeple stark against blue skies. Attendance had plummeted. Pastor Jenkins retired, amid scrutiny, clean hands, but blind eyes. I wasn't here for hymns. Riley emerged post-service. In plain jeans sans bling, asset seized. She spotted me, hesitated, then approached like crossing a minefield. You came. You asked. Her text last night. Church lot after. Please. We wandered to the prayer garden. Plaques honoring early donors, our grandparents, when Horizon Hearts meant hope, not hustle. Plea deals, she said quietly. Mom.
Dad.
Travis, light time for spillin'. Harlan's locked up. A judge quit. And you? 3 to 5. Maybe. Lawyer says camp if lucky. Not my scene. Her laugh fractured. We sat. Silence thick as fog.
Why?
Riley, you had it all. The looks. The love. Why risk it? She stared at the horizon. It was never solid. Their love? Conditional as a bad loan. Every perk. Every boost, strings attached. Be the star. Keep the cash flowing. Be their front. So you turned crook. I turned into what they molded. You got to bucket. Build real. They clipped my wings. You chose. Did I? Signed on at 18. Treasurer at 25. They showed the ropes. Said our life wrote on it. I said no. She shook her head. You escaped. I was the prize pony. Never let loose. I wanted to lash out. Tally her hurts against mine. But here, I saw the mirror. Both trapped in roles, me the black sheep, her the idol. Neither free.
I'm sorry, I murmured.
She blinked. For what? For not seeing your cage. For blowin' the whistle without warning. Tears spilled. Raw and unscripted. I didn't hug her, not yet. But I stayed. Walk away, she sobbed, echoing her church warning. That's what I meant before they dragged you in. Too late.
No.
You're out now. Grab that freedom they stole from us both. Her ride pulled up, lawyer for another Fed chat. She rose, composing herself. That frame letter? My hand, but Mom's brainchild. Never meant to send it. I'm done being their pawn. As she turned, you asked why not enough. 'Cause I knew you earned their praise, the real deal. Honest to the bone. They punished you for it. Propped me for bending. Twisted. Ha! She drove off, leaving me with echoes. I lingered in the garden till noon, pondering truth's double edge, ugly revelations, but also paths to healing. My phone hummed, Jake checking in, Elena with probe updates, then a stranger, a widow whose aid was legit, thanking me for stopping more pain. Life called, job to reclaim, future to forge. But first, a last church walk, past the altar of our baptisms, classrooms of moral lessons, that fateful storage. In the lot, my Jeep waited, mine. Earned.
No that's.
Driving the winding roads. Riley's words resonated. She erred on one count. We hadn't gotten what we deserved, but what we'd tolerated. Yet she nailed the rest. I was unshackled, free to redefine. And in that, the real truth bloomed. Revenge ain't always razzing the barn. Sometimes it's rebuilding yours stronger. Sometimes it's stepping forward, not in rage, but release. After 38 years, that's my trail. But the dust hadn't settled. The feds widened the net, snaggling more players, a Denver developer, a Utah banker. Willow Creek buzzed with reform talks, new oversight for charities, transparent grants. I testified quietly, facts over flair, watching justice grind slow but sure. Mom and Dad's plea, community service plus probation. Their ranch sold to repay victims. Travis got harder time for record tampering. Riley, minimum security in California. Writing letters that started stiff but softened, reflections on our shared scars. One came mid-sentence. Remember that summer at the creek? Before it all, we were just sisters, splashing without schemes. Miss that. I replied, cautious. Me too. Maybe rebuild from there.
No promises.
But a crack in the wall. Work bounced back, promoted, actually, for my integrity under fire. Jake and I grabbed beers often. Logan at the irony. Elena's series won awards, spotlighting how small-town ties can hide big rot, but also mend. Months blurred into a year. I bought a small spread outside town, nothing fancy, but mine. Planted a garden, volunteered at a legit aid group. One crisp fall day, Riley showed early release for good behavior. Cooperation. She stood at my gate, hesitant in faded jeans. Can we talk? We walked the property, leaves crunching underfoot. I did my time, she said. Therapy too. Learned I was chasing shadows of approval. And now, starting over. Honest work, Maybe teach in real estate ethics. Ironic, huh? We chuckled. The sound tentative but true. I hurt you bad.
Eminencia. No excuses.
We both got hurt. System was rigged. She nodded. But you broke it. Saved us from worse. We sat by the creek, our creek dipping toes like kids. Forgive me? Working on it. You, myself first. As sun set, paint in the Rockies gold. A quiet peace settled. Not perfect, but progress. The lesson hit gentle. Families fracture. But with truth and time, they can heal not as before, but stronger, scars and all. Out west, where land endures fires and floods, so can we. I hugged her goodbye. A start. Life's no fairy tale, but in true sin, compassion over grudge, I found my real legacy. Yet ripples lingered. A foundation audit revealed some good amid the bad, real helps to families, overlooked in the scandal. Victims got restitution, partly from our assets. I spoke at a town forum. Charities about liftin', not linen in pockets. Let's build better. Applause followed. But I felt Riley's absence keen. She was rebuilding elsewhere. Letters our bridge. One evening. Porch sitting with coffee. Dad called. First in months.
Ink.
We messed up. Pride blinded us. Yeah. Proud of you.
Though.
Always were. Just showed it wrong. Tears pricked. Thanks, Dad. Mom joined. Miss my girls. One step at a time. Hanging up. I breathed deep. The air clean. Unburdened. As winter blanketed Willow Creek in snow, I reflected on the journey, from that storage room shock to this quiet renewal. The drama had been fierce. The betrayal gut-wrenching. But the human side emerged. We're all flawed. Seek in connection in broken ways. Riley visited for holidays, awkward at first, but laughter crept in over eggnog. To new beginnings, she toasted. And honest ones. Dad helped with the aid group. His deacon days over, but spirit stirred. Mom baked for fundraisers. Her galas now grassroots. We talked, really talked, about the pressures that twisted us. We pushed too hard, Mom admitted. Feared failin' the legacy. Legacy's people. Not piles, I said. Nods all around. Jake became more than a friend. Dates under starlit skies. Sharing dreams. You face the storm head-on, he said. Inspirin'. Elena's book deal included our story. Anonymized but true, a caution on corruption, a hope in redemption. Spring brought blooms, and with them, closure. Riley started her ethics course online. Gain traction. Your whistle saved me too, she confided. Force the mirror. We hiked the trails. Bonds mendin' like fences after wind. The article's aftermath? Reforms passed, stricter audits for Western charities. Federal grants with teeth. Willow Creek healed. Stronger. I stood at the church garden again. Plaques gleamin'. Our grandparents' vision lived on, purified. In the end, the payback wasn't vengeance, it was growth. The shock of betrayal led to unexpected grace, learnin' to forgive, to rebuild. Out here, where the West teaches resilience, I found my peace. Family's messy, but with heart. It's worth the ride. And that's the gentle lesson. Truth hurts, but it frees. Choose it, and watch the healing begin.